Hello, guys, welcome back to another episode here on African Confessions. There is a message that I want to share with you guys, and this message it comes from a translation of a message that I received. Strange things do happen in this world. The message reads like this: Hello, my brother, how are you? Can you please post my story as hidden identity? My story, my brother, it started when I was still working in South Africa. When I went to South Africa, I was an experienced hairdresser. So getting to South Africa, it was quite easy. It was me and my husband. As for my husband, he was someone who was fortunate enough because when we arrived in South Africa, he started working for this other white man. And since my husband, he was someone who loved to work a lot. Usually, what that white guy that my husband had started working for used to do is that he wanted his workers to come to work even if it was Saturday or a Sunday, but usually he did not pay you if you would come to work on Saturday or a Sunday. So a lot of people that was working in that company, they hated it. But my husband, it was because he had such a great desire to learn whilst he was working. So he would go there to that white man's house during the weekends. And that was when the white man said that he had loved the way that my husband loved working, and he wanted to bless my husband. He said that I wanted my husband to become a subcontractor. That was how my husband ended up being a subcontractor for that white man. And from there on, my husband, he then got his own small company, but we were still staying in the location because most of the contracts that my husband was getting here and there, he was getting contracts for a few white people that wanted to renovate their houses, but most of his contracts he would get them in the suburbs where black people, a lot of them were staying, as well as the location. So whilst we were staying in that location, I then thought that this was a wise idea for me to assist my husband. I didn't want my husband to focus on like paying the bills, the basics. I wanted his money to start some few projects back home in Zim. The money that he was earning, that was when I started going into town with some few hairdressers that I had became friends with in the location. So what we were doing in those days, I don't know if people are still doing it there in South Africa. We would be standing in the street in town, then we would be inviting the women that will be passing so that they can come and we can have their hair, and they can have their hair done by us. So after that, then you would go into a salon whereby you'll be having a chair that you can rent. That was how we were operating during those days. From there on, my brother, I then saw that now I had managed to have a lot of clients because a lot of people that I would do their hair, the next time around they would actually call me. So I used to go and visit my clients and I would do their hair at their homes. I would tell those people to come so that they can have their hair done at my place. So at the end of the day, at the place where I was staying, it was more like a hair salon because I was always busy, and I am someone who is really gifted when it comes to hairdressing. So a lot of women in the location, they knew that I was cheap, and at the same time I was very good at doing women's hair. And from there on, my brother, we as women that were doing this hairdressing business, we then decided that per day we had to put some money. Like in those days, what we will do is that at the end of the day, each one of us, we had to bring like 200 rands. We had chosen this other woman. She was a local, a South African hairdresser. She was the one who was responsible with the handling of the money. So each and every day at around 4 or 5 p.m., you had to go to her house. Then you would go and you would leave your money there, 200 per day. This then she would write a receipt. So it was like a stock fell. In South Africa, they say that it is a stock fell. That was what we were doing. 200 per day in our group, and we were a group of 30 women. So you can just imagine the amount of money that was going into that woman's house. So what we had said in our group is that during the year, if you wanted to use the money for anything, yes, you will go to her house and you will get the money, but that money you had to repay it back with a little bit of interest. So this is what we used to do. Then back home, there was a big emergency, and I was supposed to travel back home because my son, he had been admitted in the hospital and I had to travel back home. So I went to that woman who was the secretary of our Stockville group, and I told her that I wanted some money. She then spoke with other group members, and they all trusted me because I had done this before. So they gave me the money, and at that time, the money that was needed back home, it was quite a lot. If people know something about Zim medical field, everything is just expensive. It is not like other countries. So everything is all about money. I then took the money which I was supposed to return with interest. My brother, when I arrived back home, my son stayed in the hospital for a very long time. Then finally he recovered and I returned back to South Africa. When I returned back to South Africa, everything was just dry. It seemed as if there was someone in my family who had cursed me because when I arrived back in South Africa, I could not even manage to get clients like the way that I used to get those clients. I was even struggling to go and submit that 200 rand that we would submit on a daily basis, and I was now deep in debt. I kept on telling them that next month I was going to return all of the money that I was owing to the club. That was when my husband said that this money that you have taken, you are never going to get it. It is far much better that we run away. That was the plan. We were supposed to run away and go back home. And when everything had died down, we were supposed to return back to South Africa. That was the plan. When we returned back to Zim, my brother, unfortunately, my husband, he had gotten this other contract. Whilst he had gotten that contract, he was then bitten by a snake. Unfortunately, my husband, he passed away deep in the mines where he had gotten his contract. The snake that bit him, it was a poisonous snake, and he could not have and they could not take him to the clinic in time. He passed away whilst they were taking him to the clinic. I was now a widower. For me to return back to South Africa in the area where I knew that I could get a lot of clients, I could not go back because a lot of women, they were waiting for their money. And at that time, when I wanted to return back to South Africa, Christmas was fast approaching. They kept on sending me a lot of messages. They were telling me that I had to return back the money so that the Stockville group can start stocking on the grocery items that we had said that these were the grocery items that we needed to purchase. That was when I switched off my phone. But there was a woman who came from the same village that I come from. I had met her there in South Africa. She was the one who then sent her mother so that they can get my new number from my mother. And when she did this, I felt like I hated her the most because her mother even took my mother's phone numbers. And my mother, when she knew that this was the type of money that I was owing people that I used to work with there in South Africa, she complained a lot and she told me that I needed to return back this money. Otherwise, people were going to do something like to bewitch me. That was the first time that I heard that. I was really nervous when my mom said that they were going to bewitch me. I said, if these people are going to bewitch me, so it is far much better that I bewitch them first. Brother Nashi, I did such an evil thing. People that were innocent, I ended up bewitching them because I didn't want them to bewitch me first. So the money that I was supposed to use when I wanted to return back to South Africa, I took it and I went to this other old lady. She used to stay in the village where my mom was staying at that time. I spoke with her, and everyone in that village, they knew that she was a very dangerous woman, and a lot of people suspected that she was a witch. But anyway, I said it takes a witch to protect me because my mom had said that these people, they are going to bewitch you, and there is nothing that you'll be able to do about it. So I was really scared. I went and I spoke with that woman, and I told her that I wanted her to use her charms so that she can protect me. She laughed so hard, and she said that, did your mom send you to say all of these things? Does she want any trouble with me? I then showed her the money, and I said, look at this money. This is the money that I was supposed to pay for my bus ticket so that I can return back to work in South Africa, but I cannot do it because I am owing a lot of money. There are people that I was working with there in South Africa. We used to keep our money in a single place, and now that Christmas is fast approaching, those people that I owe their money, they want their money back. Please help me. She said, it is fine. There are some charms that I am going to give you. And when you go to bed, what I want you to do is this. When you go to bed, place these charms underneath your pillow. So that was what I did. She gave me some sticks, and I then went back home. I didn't even tell my mom. When I went to bed, my brother, I placed those charms underneath my pillow. Just when I was about to fall asleep, I heard her. She was standing outside and she was calling my name, and I answered her. The moment that I answered her, I saw that I was standing outside right next to her. She said, follow me. I followed him, my brother. That was when I was initiated into witchcraft. After I was initiated into witchcraft, the first woman that I wanted to sort out, it was that woman who was from Zim, who had sent her mom so that she can come and get my new numbers after I had changed my numbers, because I didn't want all of those people that I was owing their money to track me. From there on, I went in the night and I was assisted by some powerful witches. And after that, I bewitched her mother, and her mother fell sick. But I didn't want her mom to die there and there. First of all, I wanted her mom to suffer, and the way that she would be suffering, I wanted her to send a lot of money so that she can go broke. Anything that she would have gotten, any money that she would have saved, I wanted all of that money to be sent here to Zim so that it can be spent on her sick mother. This is what happened for many years, my brother. Her mother fell so sick, and each and every time when she would have hope, like, if my mom goes to this doctor, then she is going to recover. But that money that she would have sent, it will be just laid to waste. Finally, when I saw that she has wasted a lot of money on her mother, that was when we went and visited her mother, and we placed some curses on her body so that by the time that she would have passed on, then we will be able to harvest her flesh and share her flesh amongst us. When I first ate human meat, it was really impossible for me because the taste was not good at all. But with time, just like that lady told me, I was going to get used to eating human flesh. Right now, when I am eating human flesh, it tastes more like chicken. It is like you are eating chicken. My brother, from there on, I started bewitching some of those women that I was with in that same Stockville group, and I did a lot of evil. All of those women that I was in the same Stockville group with, my brother, I ended up bewitching them, and I placed a lot of curses on their life. Right now, if you were ever to come across these women, you would see that their life is simply going nowhere because I placed a curse like an evil spirit that is always walking in front of them. If they try to plan, like, if you are someone that I have placed a curse upon your life, if you plan like, tomorrow I want to go to town so that I can buy such and such a thing, that spirit will be walking in front of you. Usually you will get robbed or you will lose your money. These are the evil things that I did simply because I had borrowed these people their money and I could not pay them back. And I was too prideful to go back to South Africa so that I can explain my situation to them. Maybe if I had gone to South Africa and explained the situation that I was facing to them, they were going to understand. But pride had entered into my heart.